Effects of poverty on crime. Poverty is a critical issue in America today. In the past 10 years, many more people have fallen below the poverty line, creating crime while taking extra money from society and tax dollars from local governments and federal agencies. It is hard to say what are the effects of poverty on crime. There are poor people who are not criminals, and there are criminals who still live in poverty. Many people believe that a person is poor because they are lazy, which does not explain all poor people. There are reasons for why a person might commit a crime, which should be taken into account when considering the cause of poverty. Effects of poverty on cybercrime. The causes of poverty are various and are broadly categorized under economic, political, and social factors. Poverty is the state of one who lacks a certain amount of material possessions or money. Cybercrime, while technically not a new phenomenon and often understood to be related to traditional crime, crime involving physical objects, has become a multi-billion-dollar industry in just the past few years. Poverty is a major cause of cybercrime. Cybercriminals prey on people in need of money, offering to solve any problems for them, often illegally. According to Monica Warner of the Federal Trade Commission's Bureau of Consumer Protection, con artists don't care where you live, they just want your money. When it comes to scam artists, it's a global industry. Cybercrime can also be a gateway to the more serious offline crime, and law enforcement officials are paying attention. Effects of poverty on crime. Effects of poverty on white-collar crime. Crime can be defined as an action that violates the law. Examples of crime include robbing a bank, kidnapping, and carjacking. Crime is committed to obtaining money, property, or services. Poverty can have a number of very serious effects. The causes of poverty have been known to have extremely harmful effects on families and the individuals in them, who find themselves under the constant threat of financial instability for no fault of their own. Such people are likely to be forced into committing criminal acts purely in order to get by. According to the World Bank, there are 3.1 billion people living on less than $2.50 a day, and poverty is a global phenomenon. However, poverty has unique causes and effects in different countries depending on their culture, history, government policies, etc. For example, Mississippi is among the southern U.S. states habitually to be the poorest in America, yet has now been surpassed by New Mexico. Effects of poverty on hate crime. Poverty and hate crimes are two words that are often misunderstood. When people hear the word poverty, they immediately think of homelessness, lack of food on the table, and many other things. Poverty is the condition of not having sufficient amounts of material possessions to satisfy one's needs. It could also mean having little or no money. Hate crimes are those in which perpetrators commit violence or act aggressively towards victims because of their ethnicity, religion, lifestyle, sexual orientation, or beliefs. Poverty, broken families, and social exclusion can push people towards the extremes of society. The relationship between poverty and racism is complex. Many people are poor because they are victims of racism, others are poor because of a lack of employment opportunities for all workers, including those who are themselves racist in their attitudes. Still, many other people perpetuate racist acts because of economic insecurity, that is, real competition for scarce jobs and resources in the society. These factors interact in myriad ways and make the relationship between poverty and racism difficult to understand. Effects of poverty on property crimes. Poverty has many causes. Research shows that crime is one result of poverty. Lower criminal IQ scores and an increased rate of substance addiction are also linked to a higher risk of committing property crimes. You've probably heard the term root cause of crime, but have you ever wondered what crime's root causes are? It's called poverty. Poverty can cause property crimes, so make sure your family is aware of its symptoms. Property crimes, namely burglary and theft, make up the majority of crimes in the United States. Government statistics show that victimization rates are higher in higher poverty areas, but victims of property crime in poorer quality neighborhoods may have a harder time replacing lost or stolen items. In addition to property crime, violent crime is more prevalent in high poverty areas, which can suppress property values in areas with high crime rates. Effects of poverty on federal crimes. According to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, more than half of all inmates in state and federal prisons are impoverished. When you factor in the cost of one prisoner per year, federal crimes that do not involve violence alone cost taxpayers about $28,500 each year for every inmate incarcerated. But poverty is also directly linked to many other nonviolent crimes such as prostitution and drug dealing. Effects of poverty on traffic offenses. Speeding tickets. It is said that most drivers speed to death. Speeding tickets are the #1 cause of poverty in America among the working class because they cannot pay the fines, their insurance premiums increase, they can no longer drive to their jobs, they get dismissed from their jobs, and then when the interest mounts up on these unpaid fines, the person goes to jail for not being able to pay the ticket. Each year thousands of people receive traffic tickets or have been charged with a crime. There may be several different things that led to the ticket/law violation, and perhaps, a number of different agencies are involved. The court may not necessarily understand the underlying issues or reasons why someone committed the offense. Effects of poverty on robbery. There are a variety of causes of poverty. Some of these include excessive military spending, reallocation of resources to the wealthy, and lack of resources/poor education opportunities. As a result, poverty has various effects on communities and individuals, such as crime and robbery. While the effects of poverty on robbery and burglary rates are poorly understood, these criminals tend to be driven by their economic situation and are rarely well prepared. Safety experts recommend that you invest in a good surveillance system to keep an eye out for these threats, as well as more robust security measures such as a fence or gate around your property. Poverty is the leading cause of crime, drug use, and other social ills. Some suggest that poor people are more likely to be drawn toward crime because they hope to acquire the material goods they cannot otherwise afford. But researchers have found limited evidence that poverty directly causes crime. Sociologist Stephen K. Smith argued in his paper, Poverty and Crime Revisited, that growing violence among African Americans can be attributed to rising levels of fatalism and self-protective behavior accompanying perception of higher risk rather than poverty itself causing more violent crime. Smith also discussed how most people who are poor are trying to support their families by working within the system rather than through engaging in criminal activity. Effects of poverty on violence. The causes of poverty include low income levels, inflation, and lack of resources. Poverty is one of the major factors that cause violent behavior in people. Throughout the world, poverty is a significant cause of violence. The violence comes in many different forms, ranging from sexual violence against women to war and terrorism in some parts of Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. As you can see in the chart below, 33% of the world's population lives on less than $10 per day. This leaves them with little food, water, or shelter to survive.